That was Pika's idea. He wanted to insert some theme music into the show, and I said, no, we can't afford that. We're a very small YouTube production. But that was the theme song from the Super Friends. Yes, it is time once again for the Golden Age of DC Comics, 365 days, where I take this beloved hardcover coffee table book given to me about 2 decades ago by one of my best friends. This has been surfing my coffee table ever since and has been a constant source of comic book shop style conversations, the kind I wish to recreate here today with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. You are the most important part of this show, the most important ingredient in my recipe. Pull up a chair to the coffee table and bring a cup of whatever is gonna wet your whistle. Freshly brewed Guatemalan Huehuetenango. It's a very, very yummy bean. It's a medium roast. It's really good. Black, no sugar. Yeah, exactly. The Golden Age of DC Comics runs between 1938 and 1955. The Silver Age between 1956 and 1970. The Bronze Age, I'm a Bronze Age baby myself, between 1970 and 1985. The Copper Age begins in 1985. I get these definitions and standards from the most current edition of the Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide. This year's, or last year's, or, as soon as there's a new one, I'm getting it. It's that important. It is that important to me. It's a really great resource. And if you're a serious comic book fan, why don't you have one? Are you gatekeeping, Sully? Yes! You fail my nerd quiz, we can't be friends anymore. No, that's not the way it works. Man. These two books as well are just gold. This is Understanding Comics, The Invisible Art. Oh my goodness, what time is it? It's time to take your chill pill? Your chill pill. He doesn't like to joke about his stresses. Understanding Comics, The Invisible Art by Scott McCloud, and How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way by Stan Lee and John Buscema. This is a really interesting resource. We're usually the outsider looking in when we have a comic book, and this gives us the perspective of the insider looking out, and it's really nice. And this is a 2004 Abrams publication, written and curated by Les Daniels, Chip Kidd, and Geoff Spear. Yes, and you can find a link to this book and those other 3 publications in the description to their Amazon links, and you can get your own copies of these, especially this one. This will look great on your coffee table. It makes a great gift for a geek. I know, and I'm giving this old book a second life. I thought it would make great content. I thought that I'm going to use this book for its intended purpose. It's a page a day, 365 days. We're going to open up to today's date, October the 19th. We're going to look at some comic book art of an antediluvian age. We're going to read the blurb, and then we're going to talk about comic books. And guess what? We're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. Indeed. It's winding down as well. We only got about 6 more weeks to go. Wow, it's been a great trip. A lot of conversations, daily comic book conversation, lots of great comments. I'm really happy that I got an audience. You guys that tune in. You make me feel like a real YouTuber. You make me a real YouTuber by tuning in. I'm impressed. I'm so glad that this is the intention of the show. We're having a conversation. Keep it going. Keep those comments coming. Please, let's get to it. I hope you are clobbering your problems and not being clobbered by them. Over and out. That was a stifled burp. I'm no Brittany Venti. You know what I mean? Gee. My friend Ryan Raja, he He can project his innermost gas with the best of them as well. Hello, Ryan Roger, if you're tuning in. Go like and subscribe, Ryan Roger Athay. I'll leave his link in the description as well. He makes a great show called Reality Base, especially for up-and-coming creators, because we grow together and we also learn from each other. We learn a lot of good, solid content production lessons from each other. Yeah, and I'm very grateful to be part of this fellowship, this community. Yes. Let's do it. It's October the 19th. This is art by Win Mortimer from the cover of World's Finest Comics, number 64, May-June of 1953. And I'm just very fond of this art. I think this is beautiful. I would frame this and put this on my wall. I love this. This really this is show don't tell. You can make up all the dialogue you want to this in your head. I mean, look at the classic pose of Superman with his arms akimbo, thrusting his, muscular chest. Look at Robin in his awe and wonder, because he is still a kid, and he's pointing, and he's like, this is how friendships begin. Like, hey, what do you think? Well, look at that. Are you interested? Can we check that out later? And, there's Batman. And everyone is true to their character, just without dialogue, and this is a really awesome piece of art. I love it. I simply love it. The iconic colors, the composition, even the background. Let's read the blurb and then let's talk about comic books. It's a boys' night out on a city street that looks familiar. Some might say this is Broadway of a half century ago, but there's a problem. Batman lives in Gotham City, and Superman lives in Metropolis. And both of these are versions of New York City. So where exactly is this trio taking in the sights? Gotham, Metropolis, New York? Well, as long as they're having a good time. And I'm going to say that's Washington Street and downtown Boston. And that's where all like the Paramount is, and Blendstrup's the steakhouse is there too, or is that no? That was in South Boston, on Broadway. A much different Broadway in South Boston. All the flashing lights you see are basically the cop cars, or when you get punched in the face over and over again. That's a South Boston toughie joke. Yeah, I mean, love this art. Look at this art. Behold, great stuff. And it reminds me of just the love of comic books and where I started. Specifically, it had to been the Super Friends. Saturday mornings were sacred. I'm an old man. I'm 50 years old. This is true. I was born in November of 1972. Scorpio. And in 1973 to 1985 on ABC Network Television, the American Broadcasting Company, Saturday mornings were where children went. You had the weekend off too. And Sundays were for church, but Saturday was for cartoons. So beginning in the morning and until about afternoon, until about 12 noon, for 6 hours on all three different the big three networks, and including the fourth network called Fox, which came in, near the end of these network wars. And they had their own Saturday morning cartoons as well in the late 80s and early 90s, especially the early 90s. But superhero fare seemed to dominate a lot of these shows, and Super Friends was part of it. Allow me to read from the wiki for a moment, please. And I adore Super Friends. It was the reason to get up on Saturday mornings, and there was a rerun earlier, and then there was the new one, and then that was just, you had to plan your day around Super Friends. Super Friends is an American animated television series about a team of superheroes which ran from 1973 to 1985 on ABC as part of its Saturday morning cartoon lineup. It was produced by Hanna-Barbera and was based on the Justice League of America and associated comic book characters published by DC Comics. The name of the program and the Justice League members featured with the Super Friends has been variously represented as Super Friends and Challenge of the Super Friends, for example. At a different point in its broadcast history, there were a total of 93 episodes and 2 backdoor pilot episodes of the new Scooby-Doo movies, with Batman and Robin appearing in the dynamic Scooby-Doo affair and the Caped Crusader Caper. The two voices of Batman and Robin were a big part of my childhood. Ulan Sule played Batman, and Casey Kasem was Robin. And Casey Kasem did a lot of different voices in a lot of different shows. He was also a legendary national radio DJ. But I had a happy Batman growing up, and it was a combination of Adam West's 1966 live-action show and Ulan Sule and the Super Friends. So, and this is my backdrop here. This is a scene from Super Friends. It's Batman at the computer, and he's thinking, and I just love that a lot. And this is designed by Alex Toth, and all the character designs and vehicle designs and how the world looked like. And it was called The Trouble Alert, and at the Hall of Justice, and it was the kids' version of a comic book, it was great. It was a cartoon version of a kid's comic book, because Justice League of America, that was like big league. And so getting your hands on an issue of JLA, and you understood what was going on, what was going on, and a kid could instantly figure it out. Boom. Like, oh my goodness, like one of the first issues had to have been an Earth 2 crossover, because there you have Old Man Superman and Old Flash and Old Green Lantern. And it's like, oh, okay, well, they're, on a different Earth. I mean, this is invented multiverse in a way. But let's get back to the Super Friends just for a second. From 1973 to 74, it was the Super Friends. Then 77 to 78, the all-new Super Friends Hour. Challenge of the Super Friends was 78 through 79, and that's what invented the Legion of Doom. And when it became a bit more just bad guy oriented, you had Lex Luthor, Sinestro, Gorilla Grodd, Cheetah, Black Manta, Toyman, Scarecrow, Solomon Grundy, all in this like swamp-based super evil villain base. The World's Greatest Super Friends, 79 to 80, Super Friends to 80 to 83 again, and then the last 2 seasons, I was kind of aging out. This was 84 and 85, and then 85 and 86. It was Super Friends, the legendary Superpowers show. Then they just changed it from Super Friends. They rebranded from Super Friends to the Superpowers team, Galactic Guardians. And that was actually, right at the end is when we finally got some 3 3/4 action figures that were like really, like it looked like the show. It had the Alex Toth design. Now Alex Toth is like Bruce Timm. Bruce Timm was the visionary that designed Batman the Animated Series. Paul Dini wrote it, but it was Bruce Timm that drew that iconic style that followed through Batman the Animated Series, The New Adventures of Batman and Robin, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, and that we call it the Timmverse. We could call this the Tothverse. I would love to call this the Tothverse if we already don't. Here I am. I mean, what a great show. I mean, it was just simple, pithy, Pithy. It possesses a fondness in my heart, and it fostered this lifetime love of comic books. And you can see why. Even kids today. I was wearing a Spider-Man Lycra shirt. I got this black Spider-Man Lycra shirt. I love Spider-Man 3. I love the black costume. Not Venom, the black costume, whether it's symbiote or Spidey, doesn't matter. I love the elegance and the simplicity of Spidey's black costume. I was when this was ending, Spidey was in his black togs. Yeah, I mean, it was just, if I was born in 72, how old was I in 85? Exactly, I was 12. And what a great time to be a kid and a superhero friend. A friend, yes, a friend of superheroes. I most definitely am. That's very accurate. But yes, Super Friends. It was what an interesting concept, especially in the days where we get a lot of traction off of infighting. And but yeah, these are most definitely Super Friends. Thank you so very much. What a great conversation. This has been a good conversation, as was said in The Last Samurai. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've been talking about comic books, and we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and we'll find out who we're talking about when we turn the page tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. We make daily content here. We talk about comic books every day. I'm doing a series all through the month of October. It's wrapping up soon. The 31 days of Halloween. I'm doing 31 horror movies over the course of October. Join us. If you're a movie fan, you might find a place here with us. Join us. Thank you so very much for tuning in. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you again tomorrow in those funny pages. Bye from Pika and Little Willie. Bye-bye.